Our parents were so independent. They raised us to be. They cheerlead. Sometimes, some of our parents have done some things, but at the same time, love also is forgiveness. And oftentimes it's bothersome because I'll talk to people, or even in my own personal life, we talk about this transgenerational curse. At what point do we stop it?
Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Join me and with my co-host, Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you.
All right, welcome back to Coach Soul and Kenya. It's an honor always to be able to have you as a co-host. And, it's hot, it's just, what do you do to cool off?
Lots of water, hydration, preferably AC. What do you do?
I'd much rather be cold because it's easier to get warm than it is to there's so much you can take off. And I don't want to go that far.
Looking like a typical man. All right.
So, want to get into a topic that I think we often overlook in our society. There's a 1 in 6 adults in the U.S., which is about 17% that provides unpaid care to an adult age 50 or older. And that's according to the AARP, the National Alliance for Caregiving in 2020, which is amazing because that means that's more than 41 million Americans have provided unpaid care to an adult or a child in the past year, which means that the typical caregiver spends about 24 hours per week caring for aging a relative. And it becomes a financial strain, stress, depression, you name it. And what's interesting is that women are more likely than men to be caregivers. And it's about 60% of caregivers are women.
For sure.
And I know you and I kind of talked off mic. My father is, he wasn't expected to live for about 4 or 5 months last year, but he's still ticking. He's like Timex, that commercial, licking steel's ticking. And he is. My parents are supposed to be celebrating 60 years in August, and that's unheard of. But I celebrate their life and their aging. Never thought my dad would be making it to 84, and he has. So I'm very proud of my dad and my mom being able to take care of each other. They still live on their own in a house. So some of us are fortunate with parents that can do those things. Some of us are not. We have to take care of our aging parent. And so that gives a segue to you, Kenya, because we know you're in that. Care to share about what you're dealing with and going through so that our audience has an idea of what's happening?
Yes. So I appreciate the mic. Hello, everyone. We love you. We see you. And Steve and I decided to bring this topic up because we don't really talk about aging parents. And if you are alive, you just know that either you have an aging parent or you will become an aging parent at some point. So this conversation, I just want to share that I do have my mother and she has Parkinson's. She is not just aging because of, she's mid-70s, actually approaching late 70s, she's 78. However, you can be 78 and super healthy. And because of the Parkinson's, her motions are very limited right now and becoming limited as we speak. So over December and January, I cared for her. She came to visit and she had a really bad fall and she had pneumonia. Really long story short, I experienced for a short period of time, and I say that it was so much love, dear listeners, for 30 days, only 30 days. I took care of my mom in every level you can imagine, from bath and all the things. She was in a hospital and then she was in a rehabilitation facility and I was with her every day. And I asked myself, what about those that do that in their your home every day, not knowing if it's going to be 30 days, a year, or 10 years of that. So I just want to bless you if you chose to be that person for your aging parent. I see you and I bless you. And God sees what you're doing. You're not getting paid. And many times your aging parent, which you're serving, will be cranky. I do want to address that. Sometimes you would want a gratitude for who you're being, and you might not get that. But what you do get is the knowing that you are in integrity with your desires, and you're honoring towards your parents. On that note, what my sister and I have decided that the best for my mom is to receive the care in Brazil for several reasons. Because she speaks Portuguese, and believe it or not, as the disease is getting worse, if you will, her English is also deteriorating. And we really foresee that it's best for her to be surrounded by Portuguese-speaking people, by Portuguese-speaking doctors, by her native. And also because we can help her from dollar to real, which is $1, it's 5 reais. So it's a financial decision as well as what's best for her. And what we are understanding here is that we are not personally with her.
Right.
And there is a lot of emotional tension around that. My preference would be a very happy family and me holding her hand until her last breath. And because of many different dynamics, it's not what's best for all of us.
It's interesting that the hands that once steadied us as children, now they tremble, and the voices that once commanded, they question. And to me, it's a sacred shift. And it's not about duty. It's about dignity. And that's what I'm hearing from you. It's about dignity. It's unfortunate that the slow surrender of independence and a quiet reclaiming of intimacy, because in caring for our parents, we don't merely just give back. Can you and others who are taking care of parents, we become the bridge between who they were becoming, and who we are still learning to be.
I love that so much, Steve. And in the same breath, I want to say that when we are taking care of our aging parents, may I speak in first person, when I was taking care, the question that rose to ask for attention is what kind of relationship I'm having with my children in this moment. What relationship, what truth, what kind of playful joy, what kind of planning I am planting for my aging days. Because I tell you what, and this is very vulnerable, dear listeners. And I'm saying that because I know that I'm speaking with a lot of you that could be in the same position. Because if your parents, in both of you, if you haven't planted a relationship before the disease, before the aging, and now there's an expectation that you should do that because I paid your bills and so whatever it is, the should, that is not on you. And in Jesus' name, I want to set you free. It's always a choice. And thank you for giving me life. That's what I tell my mom. I love you and thank you for giving me life. And I see you and I love you and I pray for you. However, I will only receive the truth that I know it resonates with my integrity. I know who I am. I know I love you. And I also know that our relationship have been very different. And she has been absent most of my life, not to say all of my life. She outsourced based on the need of going to work. My grandmother raised me. So in reality, my grandmother played the role of mother. And she even went to another country. I mean, I don't need to pour my story, but I know that our listeners can resonate.
It's a pickle. We get caught because, Kenya, you and I are busy. We have families. We have, those of us who are caring for aging parents, we're busy with work and other duties that call us. And it becomes difficult to look at, okay, I gotta, for you, you still have children at home. And it's like, I got to take care of them. I need to be able to be supportive for my husband. I need to be supportive. So it becomes a tearing at the soul and the heart that it sometimes can place guilt. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I love my parents, but at the same time, I don't have that relationship. Now with my dad, I would love to have that relationship, but he has Alzheimer's. He doesn't know who people are anymore. And so it is important. I had a client who sought me out for grief counseling. I don't want to say too much. All I can say is they were immigrant. And it was he was raised here in the United States. His father worked until he was 90. Yeah, 89, 90. And he had a tough time with his father, and yet he worked for his dad. But at the same time, he felt conflicted because of what was placed upon him. So his dad rapidly declined in health so much that, they had to sell the business. Dad's in the hospital, and the doctors come to him and say, what do you want to do with the dad? Keep him on life support or pull the plug? And, he struggled with that. He said he struggled with it. He's trying to rationalize that I make the right call when I pull the plug. And here's what I shared with him. It's not about right or wrong. When you were done wrong and you felt like you were done wrong by your parent, you could have walked away and let your dad suffer like you suffer. But instead, you gave him the choice of relief and a gift of life to be free of pain. So honor yourself. I think about in Leviticus 19:32, God reminds us of the importance of respecting and honoring our elders. It's a call to stand up in their presence, to show reverence,
100%.
right? To recognize the dignity they deserve. So caring for the elderly isn't a cultural tradition. It is a reflection of our faith and reverence for God himself. Because when we honor those who walk before us, we also honor God. And so that's what I'm hearing in you as well, is that you're honoring your mom and respecting her, even though the relationship has been, not so great.
But love.
Yes.
But love has been something consistent. And I really want to speak to our listeners here, right? Like, we're bringing this conversation to tell you that we see all the parts. I see my mom's part. You see your dad's part. I invite you to see what is their perspective, what is their angle. And my request for you is for you to honor yourself in a way that you give in overflow. Please stop the sacrificial giving. Please look at the patterns which you have been brought up. And if they give out a sacrifice, now they're asking you to do the same thing for them. Hey, give out a sacrifice. And you have not had that relationship that naturally is the next level, the next step. Why are you doing that? I tell you what, if I got sucked in, which I won't, in that invitation, you can rest assured that now my daughter will give out a sacrifice. My sons will lose their voices to give, because that is what generational curse looks like. Curses is not just evil. Curse is everything that takes your life away, the life that Jesus died so that you can have it fully. I love my mama. And regardless if we speak every day or not, regarding if I am changing her or not, I send her love on a daily basis, and I know my truth. And I don't need to defend my position. I just know that I love her and I see all the parts, and I will not entertain any lies. I will not entertain lies in my head, and I will not entertain lies coming from her mouth or whatever neighbors could be talking or not. So, dear listeners, if you have the opportunity to be a service, I know you would raise your hand and say, of course I want to serve my parents. I love them. And that's my position. Of course I want to serve them, but at which cost? It cannot cost your soul. It cannot cost. It cannot be out of sacrifice. It cannot be out of duty. It has to be out of love. And love is only love if it's received as love. Let's take a breath on that one. You know you're giving from love when it lands like love.
Oftentimes it becomes difficult, or what appears to be difficult, I should say, when people have difficulty in receiving love.
There we go.
Here's the thing. Our parents were so independent. They raised us to be. They cheerlead. Sometimes, some of our parents have done some things, but at the same time, love also is forgiveness. And oftentimes it's bothersome, because I'll talk to people, or even in my own personal life, we talk about this transgenerational curse. At what point do we stop it? Just like I explained earlier, my client was able to stop that transgenerational curse of hurt and pain by releasing and giving his father a gift of freeless pain, because he could have walked away and not done anything and let his dad suffer. When we walk away, we create a gap. We create silence. In what way can we echo love in the gap so that it's filled full of love?
It has to come from a place of love, of overflow, Steve. When it comes from that.
Yes. Because here's the thing, I love my parents.
Of course you do.
Did I like what happened to me? No. Have I tried to restore the relationship? Yes. Many times.
Many times. I'm a witness of that.
And I'm on my own deathbed due to sepsis and bacteria. Instead of getting, hey, I'm so glad that you're out of the hospital, I get a scathing letter that just says I'm an ungrateful prodigal son. Where do we allow bitterness to enter in that estranges our relationships? We're human beings. We have too much hate in this world. It's like, where can we end conflict?
Yes.
Just because we've been wounded and hurt does not give us the allowance to hurt back. That's our go-to method.
Only, may I?
Yeah.
It's a go-to method only if you are disassociated from the core of alignment that you are enough. If you're in the projection state, if you are out of your leadership,
Right.
You are in blame and you're in victim. You did that to me. How come you didn't? I just can't believe it. Where is your oneness with God? Where is your sovereignty? Where is your choice like? Where is your free will? It takes maturity, Steve. It takes breaking the pattern, cut, and it takes maturity I have met 19 years old that are in their sovereignty, and I have met 7 years old that are not in their sovereignty. So it actually has nothing to do with age-like maturity. It's almost like a spiritual maturity, isn't it?
For sure. When you think about the pain that we have a choice. We can either live in it or we can stay in it. Stay in it or just come out of it to healing and love. And one of the key secrets, listeners, the key secret for me to be where I am today, and I know so many people are hurting because it's aging parents.
Yes.
The guilt, the shame, the regrets, all of this comes surfacing because now you're being forced to take care of someone that maybe has been shaky ground. Here's the thing. I healed myself by stop expecting them to love me in the way I needed to. And I just accepted them for who they are, where they are. And the best gift that I can give is love, because the scriptures say love covers a multitude of sin. It becomes difficult. It's a sacrifice of not living in this pain. But I tell you, I'm at peace, the peace that passes all understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Where, we got about 5 or 6 minutes, Kenya, but
Yes.
Where can we who are taking care of parents find the peace that's needed to say that we are enough?
Huge question. Actually, very simple. Your identity, my identity, is not a reflection of how you see me. I'll say that again. I'm not looking in the mirror of you to see my enoughness. I'm not going around with my friends and my parents and my kids to see if I love myself, to see if I'm a good enough of a person, to see if I'm good enough of a mom, a good enough of a daughter, a good enough of anything. But here's the thing. If I drop into my inner child state, that's what children do all the time. Right. So the question you ask, where do I go? You go to your adult self, the one that knows that you're created in the image of God and there is no separation, and you pour that identity to yourself like an inner mantra. We have a million mantras going through our brain all the time. And if you are not aware, keyword aware, it's always telling you what you're not doing, what you're not completing, what you have not. It's all the negative things that it's projection from the world. It's projection from your parents. Question, is it really your voice? Is it really the voice of truth? Is it the Holy Spirit in you? So go to that voice, right? And know that being enough today doesn't mean that you're done growing. It means that you're doing your best and you're resonating integrity of who you are.
Kenya, I want to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Okay.
Just because I can hear voices from the audience. And
let's do it. I'm going to drink a sip of water.
It's, I have, and here's what I've heard before. I have the right to be angry at what they've done to me. Why should I help them? I much rather them consider them dead than for me to heal my wounds to go help. So how would you give advice that we don't have to live in that era that depresses us so much? Mm-hmm. So where's the healing?
Knowing that you don't have to anything. The healing is that you're a choice. You don't have to anything. However, when you choose to give out of love, not out of have to, expectation, sacrificial giving, all those things, and you choose to, in pop culture, be the bigger person, if you will, you feel so good about yourself because we humans, we are created to love and to serve. That is my mantra. So if I would be okay serving a neighbor, why would I not serve somebody that served me? And I'm putting a pin on what I just said because I know what's happening in my own life. Unless that person is being verbally abusive to you, is No, you do not need to be in the environment that is constantly bringing you down. That's called lack of self-love. That's called self-sabotage. That's called religious programming. Oh, you gotta honor. Yes, the Bible says honor, but does it say how? Meaning, do they have the right to tear you down when you're 5, 10, or 40, or 50? They don't. So you get to know your boundaries, keyword boundaries, and only give out of love, out of overflow, out of choice. Otherwise, it will create resentment in you, and now it becomes a dance of, okay, fine, I'll do it. Good luck with that. Good luck with that and what it will create in your nervous system and what it could create cancer in your body. Like, you don't even know what kind of disease coming from anger, resentment, shame, guilt.
Well, it's a deep subject because my dad would say when I would say, well, I know this is a heavy topic, but at the same time, celebrate life. We also have things that we have not done so well with our own kids. It just, helps us to be smarter of what not to do, but being able to just celebrate your parents because you exist, because at one point in time, they had the choice to abort and they didn't.
They didn't. So they give you life.
Exactly. So give that gift back to your aging parents, no matter where they are, how they are, or what they're doing, because not only are you giving a gift to them, you're giving yourself a gift of freedom so that when they pass, you won't have that regret. So solve these problems if you can. Say your last piece. And one tidbit to help our listeners is what I worked with other people in when they've had regrets of not being able to say is I do a alteration to Gestalt therapy of what's called the empty chair technique. What I tell my clients is I want you to go write a letter to your parent. Go outside, read the letter out loud. Once you're done, burn it. The air, the wind will carry the ashes and the smoke to where the listening ears are, and you'll find relief. And so until next time, take care and God bless.
We love you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on Coach Soul. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners of a few key points. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is based on professional opinion but may not apply to everyone's situation. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your mental health care. If you're in a crisis, please seek immediate professional help or contact a crisis hotline. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship. For personal advice, please consult with your licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, your mental health journey is unique. While we hope this information is helpful, it is crucial to work directly with the qualified personnel for your specific needs. Thank you again for tuning in to Coach Soul, and we'll see you next time.